In the icy silence of Antarctica, Dr. Hilda Bellum found her refuge from the chaos of the outside world. Though refuge might have been an optimistic word for the endless white wasteland that stretched in every direction. 3 years at Polaris Station had sharpened her senses to a razor's edge hand, won her ability to detect the faintest shifts in climate patterns, the subtle whispers of atmospheric anomalies that others might overlook. She had left behind her research in Sao Paulo, where her findings had been silenced, shut down by corporate interests eager to bury inconvenient truths beneath layers of profit and politics. Here, at the bottom of the world, her data mattered. It had meaning, purpose, and a chance to make a difference. Tonight, the sky above was painted in waves of shimmering green, the aurora borealis dancing overhead like ghostly ribbons woven from light. It was breathtaking, almost hypnotic, a natural spectacle that reminded her why she chose this place. She liked these midnight walks along the station's perimeter. It was her brief escape, a moment to breathe and reflect away from the sterile, humming corridors inside. Her heavy weather gear crunched softly on the snow as she moved, her breath forming fleeting clouds in the crisp air. The cold was brutal but familiar, almost a comfort in its brutality, like an old friend who had seen her through many storms. Suddenly, her gaze caught a flicker, a tiny, fleeting movement in the sky, a glint that didn't belong among the swirling green curtains. Her eyes sharpened, instinct kicking in. She squinted upward, eyes narrowing as she tracked the anomaly, watching it dart and pause, almost as if it were hesitant, almost as if it knew it had been seen. For a moment, she thought it might be a meteorite, something natural, harmless. But her experience told her otherwise. The object moved strangely, almost as if it were decelerating, as if it was deliberately pausing or testing her. Her pulse quickened. Probably just a meteor, she muttered to herself, trying to dismiss it. But a flicker of doubt crept in. Her instincts sharpened over nearly 2 decades of climate science, refused to let her ignore it entirely. She stepped back inside, her boots crunching on the icy metal floor, and made her way straight to the station's observatory. The automated telescope, designed primarily for atmospheric monitoring, was already humming softly, waiting to be calibrated. She quickly adjusted the controls, zooming in on the spot where she'd last seen the flicker. For a moment, nothing, just the dark expanse of the night sky. Then, her eyes widened as a flash of silver appeared, something tiny yet unmistakably metallic. Her heart hammered in her chest. It drifted downward like a delicate, shimmering snowflake, glinting in the green glow of the aurora. She watched as it fell into the snow-covered landscape, unfolding into a fractal structure, intricate and alien in design. It was almost like a fern made of quicksilver, delicate and precise, landing with a gentle, almost hypnotic grace. Her breath caught. This was no meteorite, no natural debris. It was something else entirely, something artificial, crafted with purpose. Her mind raced. What could it be? An alien probe? A piece of space debris? Or something far more extraordinary? The object shimmered in the cold night, its fractal branches rippling as if alive. She stared, transfixed, her fingers trembling slightly as she reached for her radio. This is not natural, she whispered. What the hell is this? Her instincts, sharpened by years of research and frustration, told her this was a sign, a message, perhaps, or a warning. Something intelligent, something deliberate, and it had just landed right where she could see it. Her pulse pounded harder as she realized how out of her depth she was. Whatever this was, it was not from her world. Tonight, the sky had revealed a secret, and she was the only one watching. The cold dawn crept in over Polaris Station, casting a pale gray light across the snowdrifts and icy plains. Hilda Bellum sat at her console, eyes fixed on the data streaming across her screens, her mind racing from the night's strange discovery. The images of the metallic, fractal seeds still haunted her, each one unfolding like a delicate, alien fern, silently embedded in the snow like some cosmic gift or curse. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sharp beeping from the station's alarm system, jolting her from a reverie. She shot up, her pulse pounding. "Come on, what now?" she muttered, rushing over to the main console. The screen flickered with a new alert, a sudden drop in oxygen levels in a localized sector. 0.03%. "That's not a glitch," she whispered, voice tense. Her fingers flew over the control panel, trying to pinpoint the cause. Soon, the other members of the team gathered around, drawn by her urgency and the strange readings. Sasha Petrov, their medical officer, squinted at the monitors. "That's tiny but significant. Could be environmental or something else." Her brow furrowed. "Are we dealing with some kind of atmospheric anomaly?" Hilda shook her head sharply. "No, this is different. Look at this." She brought up the visual feed from the external cameras. The footage showed the landscape outside, miles of untouched snow, but in the midst of it, dozens of shimmering metallic objects scattered like seeds across the terrain. They weren't just falling. They were unfolding, transforming into intricate fractal structures. The team stared, hushed, as the images played out on the screen. "Are those spores? Seeds?" Yuki Tanaka, the biologist, asked softly, leaning in closer. Her voice was steady but filled with awe. "They look like organic dispersal mechanisms, but metallic. This is impossible." Davi Oliveira, the engineer, ran his hand through his hair, already suited up in his gear. "We need to get closer," he said with determination. "If they're spreading and affecting the atmosphere, we can't just sit here and watch." Haroon Malik, the atmospheric chemist, looked pale as he stared at the readings. "This isn't just a simple environmental change. These objects, they're absorbing oxygen quickly. It's as if they're alive, or at least mimicking life. Whatever they are, we're dealing with something intelligent." His voice was edged with concern. "And if they're manipulating the atmosphere, we're in trouble." Morgan Kwan, their security and communications specialist, was already moving toward the control station with purpose. Her military background was evident in her brisk, precise movements. "Are we under attack?" she asked, voice low and cautious, eyes scanning the monitors. Hilda hesitated, then nodded. "It's not conventional. No explosions, no weapons fire. But these objects are spreading. They're intelligent, or at least designed for some purpose we don't understand yet." The team was silent for a moment, watching as the metallic seeds touched down and dispersed across the snow. Their surfaces shimmered with a strange, almost hypnotic glow, rippling as if alive. The structures rippled and expanded, unfolding into complex geometries that defied natural explanation. The implications hit them like a punch to the gut. This wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was a deliberate, alien intervention. "We need to figure out what they want," Hilda said urgently. "If we don't, they might keep spreading, and we won't be able to stop it." Her voice was firm, but beneath it, there was a flicker of doubt. "How do you fight something you don't even understand?" Suddenly, the room filled with a faint hum, almost like a distant, rhythmic pulse. The team exchanged nervous glances. Whatever this was, it was no longer just a scientific curiosity. It was a threat, a mystery, and the stakes had just been raised. Hilda's mind raced to find a plan, knowing that every second mattered. Outside, the shimmering metallic seeds continued to land, unfolding their intricate fractals as if they were waiting for something or someone to notice. The dawn broke with an icy, blinding glare that reflected off the endless white wasteland surrounding Polaris Station. But inside, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Hilda sat at the command console, her eyes darting across the data streams, trying to piece together the puzzle that had unfolded overnight. The metallic fractal seeds still haunted her thoughts, their silent, alien presence pressing down like an unspoken warning. Her mind, kept circling back to the recent readings. Oxygen levels fluctuating wildly, strange signals pulsing through the station's communication systems as if the very environment was responding to these enigmatic objects. She ran her hand through her hair, frustration mounting. Suddenly, a voice crackled over the radio. "Hilda, you need to see this." Morgan's tone was sharp, urgent. Hilda immediately snapped to attention, her heart pounding. She pushed away from the console and hurried over to the station's viewing window W. Here Morgan and Yuki were gathered, staring at the external cameras. The footage displayed the snow-covered landscape, but what caught Hilda's eye was the movement, an undeniable, deliberate motion, something shifting beneath the snow. "What are we looking at?" Hilda asked, voice tense. Morgan pointed to a cluster of shimmering objects glinting in the weak sunlight, slowly unfolding like delicate flowers blooming in reverse. Their fractal structures spiraled outward, revealing a complexity that defied natural explanation. Yuki's eyes widened, her voice trembling with awe. "They're not spores or seeds. This is something else. Something engineered." Haroon Malik, standing nearby with his tablet, looked overwhelmed. "The atmospheric readings, those objects are actively manipulating the oxygen levels," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "And their movement, it's almost like they're communicating or coordinating. We're witnessing an intelligent response." His face was pale, eyes darting between the screen and his data. "This isn't random. It's deliberate." Davi Oliveira, already suited up and ready for an outside reconnaissance, clenched his fists. "If they're spreading and manipulating the environment, we can't just observe. We need to act, and fast. We don't know what their purpose is, but we can't let it get out of control." Yuki stepped closer, her voice firm now. "We need to understand what they are, what they want. If we don't, we're walking into a catastrophe. Maybe they're trying to communicate, or maybe they're just probing our defenses. Either way, we're not prepared for what's coming." Morgan glanced at her, a flicker of determination in her eyes. "I agree. We need to establish contact, if that's even possible, and find out what their intentions are. We can't afford to panic now." Hilda took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing mind. "Okay, listen up. We're dealing with something that's clearly not from here, and it's responding to us. We need to send a probe, something small, non-threatening, to observe their behavior and try to decipher their signals. But be prepared for anything." Her voice was steady, but beneath it, she felt the weight of the unknown pressing down hard. As the team scrambled to prepare the drone outside, the metallic fractal structures continued their slow, deliberate expansion. They shimmered with an eerie, hypnotic glow, rippling in the cold sunlight as if alive. Each fractal branch seemed to pulse with a strange energy, hinting at intelligence far beyond human comprehension. The air grew thick with anticipation and dread. What message, if any, lay hidden within those intricate patterns? And what would happen if they responded? Hilda's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The mystery deepened, and she knew that this was only the beginning of something much larger than any of them could imagine. The alien presence seemed to be waiting, watching, ready to reveal its secrets or unleash its fury. The tension in Polaris Station was almost tangible as the team gathered around the main console, eyes fixed on the trembling images of the metallic fractal seeds unfolding in the snow outside. Hilda's mind raced, trying to piece together what they were witnessing. Suddenly, Morgan broke the silence with a sharp, decisive tone. "We need to communicate with them, or at least try. Maybe they're trying to reach us." Her voice was steady but tinged with urgency. Yuki nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. If these structures are intelligent, they might be capable of understanding signals. We have to send a message, something simple, non-threatening. But what do we say? She looked over at Hilda, who was already scanning the station's data archives for any clues, any previous contact protocols, anything that could help. Haroon Malik, standing nearby with his tablet, looked pale but determined. "The atmosphere is still shifting," he said. "The oxygen levels are fluctuating more rapidly now. If these things are intelligent, they're not just passively existing. They're actively influencing their environment. We're witnessing a kind of alien diplomacy in action. The question is, how do we respond without provoking a hostile reaction?" Davi Oliveira, already suited up, tapped his helmet. "I volunteer to go out and get a closer look. If we're going to send a signal, I want to understand what they're capable of firsthand." His voice was firm, but a flicker of nervousness betrayed his calm exterior. "We won't get another chance if they decide to escalate." Yuki shot him a glance, concern flickering in her eyes. "Be careful out there. We don't know what kind of defenses they might have. If they're as advanced as it looks, they could be watching us right now." Morgan crossed her arms. "I agree. But Davi's right. If we're going to make contact, we need to do it sooner rather than later. Let's send a drone a simple message encoded in their language or patterns. Something that says, 'We come in peace. We mean no harm.'" Her voice was commanding, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. "Are we really prepared for what might come back?" Hilda nodded firmly. "Exactly. I want that drone flying out now. Yuki, I need your expertise on the signal. If these are fractal intelligences, maybe they understand patterns, math, geometry, and frequencies. We need to craft a message that resonates with their structures." As the team hurried to prepare the drone outside, the metallic fractal structures continued their slow, mesmerizing expansion. Each fractal branch shimmered with an otherworldly glow, rippling as if alive, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed almost musical. The snow around them was disturbed, pressed down by unseen forces, as if the land itself was responding. The team watched in tense silence as the drone lifted off, its tiny propellers whirring softly, carrying the message into the unknown. Meanwhile, the fractal structures seemed to pulse in response, their intricate geometries shifting subtly. It was as if they were listening, waiting for the right moment to reply. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, an eerie, almost spiritual silence broken only by the faint hum of the drone and the distant, rhythmic pulse that seemed to emanate from the very ground. Yuki's voice broke the silence. "If they're capable of understanding us, maybe this is the start of something new, an interstellar dialogue. Or maybe it's a trap." Her eyes flickered with a mixture of hope and fear. Davi returned, just as the drone's message was sent and reported. "It's out there, transmitting now. We'll see if we get a response." Hilda took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Every instinct told her they were venturing into the unknown, something beyond human comprehension, waiting silently. The fractal seeds outside continued their slow dance, unfolding in perfect, mesmerizing patterns as if they were listening, watching, and perhaps waiting for the next move. The stakes had never been higher, and the truth of what lay beneath those shimmering structures was about to reveal itself, one way or another. The tension inside Polaris Station was nearly unbearable as everyone watched the monitors, waiting for a response from the alien fractals. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of machinery and the rhythmic pounding of hearts. Hilda's fingers hovered anxiously over the console, her mind racing with possibilities. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and a faint, almost imperceptible pattern emerged, a sequence of geometric shapes that seemed to dance across the display. The room went silent, eyes fixed on the strange symbols that appeared before them. Yuki broke the silence softly, her voice trembling with awe. "Is that? It looks like a code, but it's unlike anything we've ever seen. The fractals are communicating." Her eyes shone with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. Morgan leaned forward, eyes narrowing as she studied the pattern. Could it be a language or a form of art? Whatever it is, it's deliberate. They're trying to tell us something. Her voice was steady but tinged with excitement. "I think we've just been invited to the first alien conversation in history." Haroon Malik, clutching his tablet, looked overwhelmed but intrigued. The structure of this code, it's highly complex. It's like a mathematical puzzle. They're using fractal geometry, probably their way of speaking or signaling. His voice was quick, almost breathless, and the oxygen levels are stabilizing, as if they're responding to this exchange. It's like they're alive and they're listening. Davi Oliveira, who had just returned from his outside reconnaissance, looked both exhilarated and cautious. Whatever this is, it's not hostile, at least not yet. They're trying to connect, which means we have a shot. We need to reply. Now. His voice was firm, but there was an edge of nervousness beneath it. Let's send a response, something simple like a pattern of our own. Maybe a sequence of prime numbers or something symmetrical. Show them we're intelligent, too. Yuki nodded decisively. Agreed. I'll work with the signal engineers. We need to craft a message that respects their language, something they can understand, maybe a repeating pattern, a fractal in itself. Her hands moved swiftly over the controls, trying to encode the message in a way that mirrored their alien communication. Hilda watched intently, her mind racing ahead. Make it clear we come in peace. We're explorers, not enemies. Let's send a pattern that signifies curiosity and openness. If they're intelligent, they'll recognize the pattern and understand our intention. As the team prepared the transmission outside, the fractal structures seemed to respond visually, shimmering and shifting in mesmerizing patterns, almost like a living organism participating in this cosmic dialogue. The intricate geometries pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, as if the alien intelligence was listening intently. The atmosphere grew thick with anticipation, a strange mixture of hope and dread hanging in the air. Finally, Yuki pressed the button. The response was sent, a carefully crafted pattern of signals aimed at fostering understanding. The room held its collective breath, waiting for what might come next. Suddenly, the fractals erupted into a new display, more vibrant, more complex, almost like they were applying in kind. Their shimmering structures expanded and contracted rhythmically, as if breathing, a silent message echoing across the void of space. The team stared, mesmerized, knowing they had crossed a critical threshold. At that moment, every member of Polaris Station felt the weight of the universe pressing down on them. They had reached out into the unknown and perhaps found a kindred intelligence, one that might change everything. The quiet hum of the station blended with the strange, beautiful dance of the fractals outside, signaling a new chapter in humanity's encounter with the alien. And as the patterns continued to evolve, so did their understanding. One step closer to unraveling the mystery of the shimmering, living fractals that now held their gaze. The atmosphere inside Polaris Station was thick with anticipation as everyone stared at the monitors, waiting for any sign of a response. The fractals outside shimmered with a strange, almost hypnotic glow, their complex geometries shifting and pulsating in rhythm with the heartbeat of the station. Hilda's eyes darted from screen to screen, her mind racing. Suddenly, a new pattern emerged, more intricate than before, almost like a language evolving right before their eyes. The team watched in collective silence, hearts pounding. Yuki broke the silence with a hushed gasp. Look at that. It's like they're trying to tell us something. The patterns, they're changing. It's as if they're responding to our message. Her voice was filled with awe, eyes wide with wonder. Morgan leaned in closer, her brow furrowed as she scrutinized the display. It's more than just a response. It's an invitation. We're witnessing what could be the first true dialogue with an alien intelligence. Honestly, I never thought I'd see this day. Her voice trembled with excitement, but she tried to keep her tone steady, aware of how fragile this moment was. Haroon Malik, clutching his tablet tightly, looked both exhilarated and nervous. The fractals' patterns are becoming more complex, almost like they're learning from us. This could be a form of evolution in their language, an adaptive, living code. They're alive, in a way. Their responses are almost emotional if you can believe it. His eyes flicked back and forth across the screen, and the environment around us seems to be reacting, oxygen levels stabilizing, temperature adjusting. It's like they're influencing their surroundings to communicate more effectively. Davi Oliveira, who had just returned from the exterior, looked tense but determined. If they're capable of that kind of intelligence, we need to push forward. We can't afford to sit back and wait. We have to send a reply, something that shows we're listening, that we respect their language. His voice was firm, edged with a nervous energy. Let's send a pattern, maybe a fractal pattern of our own. Something symmetrical, repetitive, yet intelligent. A sign of good intentions. Yuki nodded quickly, already at work with her team. I'll coordinate with the engineers. We need to craft a message that's simple but meaningful. Maybe a sequence of prime numbers or a fractal pattern that mirrors theirs. We want to demonstrate that we're capable of understanding their language, an invitation to deeper communication. Her fingers darted across the controls, her focus laser sharp. Hilda observed everything keenly, her mind racing ahead. Make sure the message is peaceful. No threats, no aggression. Just curiosity and respect. If they're truly intelligent, they'll recognize our intent. She paused, then added softly, we're reaching out into the unknown. We have to trust that they're listening and that they understand what we're trying to say. As the team prepared the transmission outside, the fractals responded visually, glimmering and shifting with a mesmerizing rhythm, almost like they were breathing. The entire environment seemed to pulse in harmony with the alien signals, creating a surreal, almost spiritual scene. The subtle hum of machinery blended with the rhythmic flickering of the fractals, echoing across the silent space. Finally, Yuki pressed the button. The message was sent, a carefully designed pattern meant to foster understanding. The room collectively held its breath, waiting, eyes glued to the monitors. Suddenly, the fractals erupted into a new display, more vibrant, more complex, almost like they were replying in kind. Their shimmering structures expanded, contracted, and pulsed rhythmically as if breathing in sync with the universe. The team stared, spellbound by the sight, realizing they had crossed a threshold into a realm of genuine interstellar dialogue. Every heartbeat felt amplified, every breath held in suspense. At that moment, every person in Polaris Station understood that they had opened the door to something extraordinary, something that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. The alien fractals continued their mesmerizing dance, signaling that they were listening, ready to communicate further. The universe seemed to hold its breath along with them, waiting for the next move in this unfolding cosmic conversation. And as the patterns persisted, so did the hope that humanity was no longer alone in the vast, mysterious universe. The tension in Polaris Station was almost unbearable as the team stared at the monitors, each person holding their breath in silent anticipation. Outside, the fractals shimmered with a hypnotic glow, their intricate geometries pulsating in a mesmerizing rhythm. The moment had arrived. Something extraordinary was unfolding before their eyes. Hilda's voice broke the silence, trembling with a mixture of awe and cautious excitement. Look at this. It's like they're responding more directly now. The patterns, they're evolving, becoming more complex. It's as if they're trying to tell us something even deeper. Her eyes widened as she watched the fractals shift in a dance of luminous colors. Yuki leaned closer to the console, her face lit with wonder. It's beautiful and terrifying. They're not just communicating, they're speaking in a language we're only beginning to understand. The fractals, these patterns, they're alive and they're calling out to us. Do you see the way they're moving? It's like a heartbeat, a pulse of life. Her voice was filled with a mixture of curiosity and reverence, as if witnessing something sacred. Morgan, ever the pragmatist, nodded sharply, her eyes sharp behind her glasses. We're on the verge of a breakthrough. This isn't just a response, it's a dialogue. And I think they're testing us, seeing if we're intelligent enough to understand their message. We have to be careful. What if this is just the beginning of something bigger? Something we're not prepared for? Her tone was serious, tinged with a hint of adrenaline. Haroon Malik, clutching his tablet tightly, looked visibly excited but cautious. This is beyond anything I imagined. The fractals are adapting, learning from us. They're like a living, breathing entity. And the environment around us, oxygen, temperature, everything's reacting to their signals. It's as if they're influencing their surroundings to communicate more clearly. His voice was rapid, almost breathless. We're witnessing the birth of a new form of intelligence, something not bound by our understanding of life. Davi Oliveira, who had just returned from outside and seen the fractals up close, looked intensely focused. We need to respond not just with words or signals, but with understanding. If they're intelligent enough to evolve their language, then we must show we're capable of the same. Let's send a message, something that mirrors their patterns, a fractal in itself, a symbol of our respect and curiosity. His voice carried authority, but with a hint of nervousness beneath. Yuki quickly nodded. I agree. I'll work with the engineers. We'll craft a message in a pattern, maybe a repeating sequence, something symmetrical, something that shows we're listening and willing to learn. Her fingers danced across the controls, her mind racing to encode a message that would resonate with their alien counterparts. Hilda watched intently, her mind already imagining the possibilities. Make it peaceful. No threats, no aggression. Just a simple gesture of friendship, an invitation to continue this dialogue. We're explorers. We come in peace. Her voice was calm but firm, radiating a quiet confidence born from years of experience. Finally, as the team prepared to send their message, the fractals outside responded visually, glimmering brighter, shifting with an almost sentient grace. The entire environment seemed to vibrate in harmony with the signals, the colors flickering like a cosmic heartbeat. Every piece of machinery, every eye in the station was fixated on the monitors, holding their collective breath. Yuki pressed the button. The message was sent, a pattern carefully designed to show understanding and respect. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the fractals exploded into a new display, more vibrant, more intricate than before. They expanded and contracted rhythmically, almost like breathing, as if the universe itself was exhaling in response. The team stared in awe, realizing they had crossed a threshold. No longer just observers, but participants in a cosmic conversation. The fractals' dance intensified their patterns, weaving intricate tapestries of light and geometry. It was as if they were replying, acknowledging the message, and inviting further dialogue. The entire station seemed to pulse with life, the air thick with hope and wonder. The moment had shifted from discovery to communion, and everyone knew that this was just the beginning of something monumental. In that silent, luminous space, amidst the hum of machinery and the flickering glow of alien life, humanity had taken its first step into a broader universe, one where intelligence might be beyond understanding, yet open to connection. The fractals continued their mesmerizing dance, a silent testament to the infinite possibilities awaiting beyond the stars. And as the patterns persisted, so did the hope that humankind was no longer alone, that somewhere out there, other minds were listening, ready to meet us in this cosmic ballet of light and geometry. That's the end of the story. See you in next episode.